What's going on, guys? Chris here, bringing you guys another bird video. I think today we're going to talk about the canaries, give you guys an update on them, show you the progress and what's going on there. So we do have some canaries set up in cages. We also have some canaries that are still out in the aviary that seem to be coming into condition with the weather that's changing and more of a spring-like weather. Speaking of weather, so yesterday was, let's see, I think our high was like 57 degrees, which feels pretty warm for Utah since we're used to like 32-degree weather. So yesterday, 57 as a high, and then we have this, and it's snowing. So welcome to Utah, I guess. One day it's 60, the next day it's 30 and snowing. So make sure if you guys are in areas like that, make sure you have a place for your birds to escape. Most of them are inside. There are some birds that actually enjoy sitting out there in the snow. There's places for them to hide out there too, to not get wet or get out of the wind, or they can just come in here where it's nice and warm and we have heaters and it's 65 degrees in here year round basically. So yeah, make sure your birds are safe during the weather time. So quick update here. So we got our red Factor babies. You can see they're molting in nicely. So it looks like I haven't sat in here and listened, so I don't know if I have males or females. Typically about this stage, your young males, they'll start warbling. So it's not a full-on canary song, but they're quietly singing to themselves, learning the song, that sort of thing. You can tell that those are males. Sometimes every once in a while a female will do that, and it's not until later, till they get older, when the males actually sing. So we'll see. It looks like from this group I have one intense. So that one down on the ground, he's got the dark feathers, and then the two on top are non-intense or frosted. They have the lighter feathers. So something to look at. And I'm hoping that my intense down here on the bottom is a female, because I am looking to at least keep one female. If I have any males, I do have one of the males is already spoken for if there is a male in here. And if I have more than one males, I'll probably end up selling off the males. So we'll see how we do there. So we have our mom and dad up here, got our red Factor pair. They've been great. So she laid 3 eggs. 2 of the 3, actually all 3 were fertile, but it looks like one of the eggs, something happened about midway, and so it ended up only being 2 fertile. And then only 1 of those 2 eggs hatched. So kind of a bummer. So we only got one chick that hatched. They're probably about 5 days old now. So let's see them hanging out down in there. You can see the other eggs in there that haven't hatched. So I did have a couple of eggs in there that I had snuck in there from her. She had laid a few eggs probably about a week before this hen started laying eggs. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it out, because she wasn't sitting on them. So I tried it out, and ended up that none of the eggs were fertile. So nothing happened. Sorry guys, I just like dropped my phone. One of these days we'll get a stand for it, you know, but I'm kind of cheap, so that's what you guys will have to deal with. Apologize for that. But so yeah, so we have 1 chick there. I will probably let them go another round. They're doing great. They're in great condition. The hen seems to be doing really well with the chick, and she'll probably want to go to nest a little bit earlier this next round, because she only has 1 chick. When she had the 3 chicks there, they just require a lot more work, a lot more feeding and keeping warm and that sort of thing. So it required the mom's attention a lot more. So probably within about a week to a week and a half, I'll put another nest up here on the end of their cage and give her the option of building another nest over there and laying down or laying some eggs. and the male he'll resume feeding on that chick and weaning. And I probably won't even separate them. I'll just let them all stay there together, just because it is only the one chick. And there's not as big of a great of a chance for that chick to jump in the new nest and maybe mess up the nest or mess up the new eggs that the mom has laid and that sort of thing. So so that's probably what we'll do with them, just because they're both in great health, doing really well, and she only hatched one chick. So we'll play it by ear, give it about another week and a half. Once that chick starts feathering up and doesn't need mom to sit on her to keep it warm, and that's probably when we'll introduce a new nest. So down here, so we have our mosaic pair of mosaic agates. So she laid 4 eggs, sat on them diligently. She was a great sitter, but it ended up that none of the eggs were fertile. So unfortunately, last week I tossed them out. She has kind of revamped her nest a little bit. Oh, look, we got a surprise. So she's revamped her nest, and looks like we already got an egg in there. So maybe if my phone would zoom in for you guys, but we'll open this up. Nothing's gonna fly out. So we got an egg in there. So she must have laid that today, because yesterday I was in here cleaning stuff out, and the nest was empty. So I'm really hoping this next round that the eggs are fertile. If not, I'll debate on swapping my males out. So this is a good time. I've had a lot of people ask, why their eggs aren't fertile. And to be honest with you, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there as to why your eggs may not be fertile. So my number one thing that I go to if my eggs aren't fertile is if my hen is laying 4 eggs and the eggs aren't misshapen. Sometimes if your hens are low on calcium or they're older, they'll kind of lay like eggs that are bigger or smaller than each other. They're not all the same size. And that's a sign. That's usually a sign that either they're not fully in breeding condition, or they don't have the calcium levels that they need, or that the hen is too old. So that could be one factor. Another factor would be the male. Either your male is not fertile for a couple reasons. One, it could be that he's not in breeding condition. He's either molting, or he's not quite there. He's not stinging full. All those will play a factor in his fertility rates. Also, another thing that will play a big factor is obesity. If your canaries are overweight, it's really hard for them, or especially the male, to fertilize the eggs. So that's why it's important on the off season, if you have room, to let them get as much exercise as they can. Or if you have a small cage inside your house and you don't have a place for them to get exercise, trim down their diet. Give them a few months of a seed diet only, and that'll kind of help slim them back down, get them back into condition. Make sure they're by windows so they can they can be on a schedule with the sun. That helps bring them in and out of breeding condition, that sort of thing. So those are my 2 biggest things as to why your eggs wouldn't be fertile. Either your female is too old, or her calcium levels are too low. Because if she's laying eggs, usually that means she's in breeding condition, for the most part. Sometimes birds, they'll continue to lay eggs, and that's when you need to kind of jump in and say, okay, enough's enough. I don't want you to lay any more eggs. For example, my zebra finches, if I were to leave a nest in there year-round, I could get 4 to 6 clutches of chicks out of one pair a year, because they are continuously breeding. They don't stop, whether it's cold outside or warm outside. So it's important for me to pull the nest, separate the pairs, and force them to have a break so that they can build back up their reserves. Similar to canaries, you want to make sure you're not overbreeding them. That can cause infertility, or that can make it to where your birds will lay eggs, they don't sit on them, or they'll hatch them out and then they don't raise the chicks. That all is a factor of either they're not in breeding condition, or they have an underlying health issue like mites, or obesity, that sort of thing. So it's important to make sure you have a good diet, good lighting, make sure your males are singing, make sure your males and your females are fit and they're not obese, as much as you possibly can. I would, if you have more than one pair of birds and you have a female that's laying eggs and they are continuously infertile, I would recommend swapping out your male and letting her try with a different male and see if those eggs are fertile. So that's usually what I do, and that's probably what I'll do with this pair. With these eggs she's laying now, I'll candle them in about a week and a half. And if they're not fertile, I'll swap out this guy, put him back out in the aviary. And I do have a male, he's outside in the aviary. He's been singing quite a bit lately because the weather's been turning warm. As I say that, it's snowing outside, but the weather's been turning warm and he's been singing quite a bit. And so I would give him a chance and let him try. The reason why I chose this male is because his colorings are more intense than my other male. He has a lot more red on his face and on his breast than my other male does, and that's something that I'm wanting to breed into my babies. But sometimes beggars can't be choosers. So if you hopefully that helped you guys. If you're having issues with infertile eggs, or possibly maybe your hen's laying eggs but not sitting on them, or they're hatching their eggs out and they're not feeding the chicks, I'd say number one is they're not fully into breeding condition yet, and you need to wait a little bit longer before they breed, or they may have an underlying health issue that's preventing them from breeding 100%, whether it's mites, whether it's obesity, whether it's some other sort of illness that they may have. So it's important to make sure your birds are in top health. One thing I think of is, like, you know, I have kids. As a parent, if I'm not feeling good, I'm not as good of a parent, right? I'm not gonna want to go out and play outside with my kids and do all these fun things because I don't feel good. It's kind of the same with your birds. If they don't feel good, they're not gonna wanna breed. So make sure they're healthy, make sure they're in top shape, make sure they're active like this, constantly jumping back and forth, flying around. It's a good sign of healthy, active birds that are in breeding condition and ready to go for you. So I hope that helped you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give you a small update on these guys. I really am hoping, oh, I just scared them and they all went outside, but I did have a couple canaries sitting there eating some seed. Like I said, they have been coming into breeding condition, so who knows, maybe these guys will be wrapping up and I'll just swap out the cages with the other pairs of canaries that I have out in the aviary when they come to, and we'll breed them for a few months, and hopefully we'll get some pretty good chicks out of them. So appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys having a great weekend. Hopefully it's not snowing where you're at, and you get nice sunny weather. Hopefully that's to come here shortly for us here in Utah. So appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you later.